Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday, everyone. We are so grateful and thankful to be here another day on a Friday for Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour. Hi, everyone. My name is Miranda. I'm the founder and creator of Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour. And invite your girlfriends and come into the room. Tag some of your friends. We're getting ready to have a girl chat. We're going to have a queens panel on tonight. I'm talking to three amazing, beautiful queens in their own right, and they're going to talk to you all about being a queen and how we can support one another. Hello, hello, Lynn. Thank you so much for joining. Share, you guys, share this out if you're on YouTube or if you're on Facebook. Share this out. Tag your homegirls. Tag your bougie squad. Tell them to come on and join this conversation. Say hello to me as you enter the room. Let me get started and introduce these amazing women that I have with me on tonight. My first guest is Tiffany Francois. She is an author of What Lies Beneath, a book purpose to expose women to underlying issues that may prevent or delay the healing process. She is the host of the Girl You've Got This podcast designed to help empower women of all ages through encouraging and relatable messages. Tiffany is also an entrepreneur. She successfully runs her own DJ business called DJ Elevate. Tiffany diligently works toward being a servant and an uplifter and a friend. My next guest, amazing Kimberly Sproul. She's an author, a speaker, a mentor, and a workshop facilitator. She is a woman after God's own heart who loves all things life, grace, and purpose. In 2016, after enduring a life threatening incident, that pushed her closer to God like never before, she discovered her God given purpose. It was from that very incident that God allowed her to birth her first book, Grace for Purpose, Discovering God's Plan for Your Life. She also provides effective teachings on understanding one's true identity and encourages the self fulfillment that comes along with achieving God's ultimate purpose. And my last guest, the amazing Andrea, all these women are awesome and amazing. Andrea Smoke. She has created a coaching platform dedicated to helping women maintain and establish long lasting friendships. She utilizes practical tools and methodologies to help women embrace each other, resolve internal and external conflicts, and establish and maintain friendships of true importance. She encourages positive female relationships, genuine connections, and life changing moments through shared interests, interactive activities, lifestyle travel experiences, and creative touches to provide unique, long lasting, memorable friendships and experiences. So, Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour audience, I want you all to welcome Tiffany Francois, Kimberly Sproul, and the friendship coach, Andrea Smoke. Hi, ladies.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great.
Hello.
How are you? Hey, y'all. Hey, Bougie Squad.
Hey, hey.
Thank you all so much for joining me on tonight, for being here. We're about to get it in. We're getting ready to do this Bougie Girl Style. We're going to have an amazing conversation tonight about being queens. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because, you know, we see so many posts about uplifting one another, but then we also see a lot of things about, women tearing each other down, talking about one another, and just trying to expose one another and all those different types of things. So I figured, you know what, let's do something encouraging on tonight to help uplift other women. So I really am grateful that you all are here with me tonight. So let's get started. I want to ask each of you, I want to pose the question, who do you think you are? Who are you as a woman? Andrea, I'm going to start with you. Who do you think you are?
First of all, let me just start and say the beauty that I see before me right now, I had to take it all in because we look good. So,
Yes, ma'am.
who do I
Thank
think I am?
y'all.
I am a dynamic friend, daughter, wife, um, community leader. I am someone that if I had to think about all the things that I encompass, I love all my flaws. I love all my hiccups, the things that I'm constantly trying to learn. I'm a forever student of this world. I am forever learning what God has for me and provided for me, and thanks. So I am, who do I think I am? I think I'm all that. Do it like that. I think I'm all of that.
Yes, ma'am. I'm loving that answer. You said you are all of that, and I agree with you. You are all of that. So thank you so much. Kimberly, you're next. Who do you think you are?
Well, who do I think? I would have to say, who do I know I am, right? I don't think I know who I am. So I am, oh my goodness, a lot of things. I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a sister, I'm a teacher, I'm an intercessor. I am just someone who loves people, and I know that I'm here to help others discover their purpose. I'm a no nonsense. No nonsense individual. I love life. I love to laugh. I'm an encourager. I'm a listener. I am loyal to those who are loyal to me. I'm confident. I am beautiful. I am graced for a purpose. So that's who Kimberly Sproul is.
Amen. That is an amazing answer. Thank you. And Tiffany, you are next.
When I think of who I am or who I think I am, what comes to mind is chosen. I'm chosen. Even when I wanted to run away from that, even when I wanted to reject that, I had to just sit down and accept the fact that God chose me for the purpose that He's put me here on this earth. So that's what I think I am, chosen.
Yes, ma'am. You are chosen. Kimberly says, she is all of that. She is everything. Andrea says, I'm all of that. We are just queens. We are beautiful. And who am I? I am Miranda. I'm a bougie girl. So that's who I am. I am bold. I am one of a kind. I am unbothered. I am God's girl. I am intentional and I am elegant. I am a mother. I'm a sister. I'm a friend. I'm an encourager. I'm a teacher and a counselor. And I'm just grateful to be here. And I am loved by God, and He is so amazing to me. And I'm just super grateful just to have you all on this platform that God has given me to be able to just share wisdom and insight and encouragement to women all over this nation. To God be the glory. Thank you. Hello, Nikki. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Joyce. You all say hello as you enter the room. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all so much. So we are talking about being queens on tonight. And so women in friendships. Let's get into it. You know what? Do you all think that's a lost art? Having real friendships. I know the friendship coach has a lot to say about it, but Tiffany, let's start with you. Do you think real, genuine friendships is that a lost art? Can women have true, genuine friendships these days?
I believe that we can if we want to. If we're willing to. Friendships are not much different from relationships. You have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to stick it out. You have to be willing to be honest with one another. You have to be willing to set boundaries. And as long as both parties or all parties are willing to do that, then I believe, yes, it's possible to have good, healthy friendships, but it can't all be done by one person.
That is so true. It's a two-way street, right? We all have to do this together. We all have to take part in this relationship. Kimberly, what do you have to say about that?
I don't think women in friendships is a lost art. I know we see a lot, through social media, but I believe, kind of piggybacking off of what Tiffany said, it's going to take work from both parties. So, being able to set those boundaries, communication
Yes.
is so important. Setting those boundaries, having a willingness to be vulnerable, to share your vulnerability, being honest is so important, trustworthiness, integrity, all of these things. And so I think just having, even wisdom and discernment in regard to who you're connecting with is important. And so I don't think it's a lost art. I think it's, from what I've seen, I know, for the people who seem to, or I guess appear to have like strong relationships, they are, most times for what I've seen, are people who have known each other for a very, very long time. But that still doesn't mean that you can't connect with a woman, today, or, and then have this bond and feel like you've known each other for a long time. But that comes with a level of vulnerability and trust and communication. So that's my answer.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I do agree with you. Communication is so important. We have to be vulnerable. We have to be willing to open up to that person. But then, too, the key word is discernment, because we can't open up to everybody, right? So being discerning is so important, especially nowadays, because you don't know what people's motives are a lot of times when they want to be friends with you. Friendship coach Andrea, please put your 2 cents in. What you have to say about this?
Look, first of all, friendship is one of the oldest relationships we can depend on. We're friends, whether we want to say it or not. We're friends with our mothers, our fathers. There's always some type of connection there. What I think has happened, the celebration of friendship is no longer what it used to be. You know, it used to be where you really, like Kimberly said, we really were loyal to people. You relied on your sister or your brother. When you had a
Right.
baby, you know, everyone came around and supported you. But because of the way that a society has gone with technology and things like that, there has been such a huge disconnect. And our society is also celebrating the disconnect of people. So when you turn on the television and you see friendships that, you know, go from they're disconnected over the smallest little thing, and then they never show, well, how do I reconnect with my sister, how do I reconnect with my brother? And we're not celebrating friendship in the importance of friendship.
Right.
You know, we're almost advocating being alone. It's okay, we're going through this pandemic right now. How many people
Right.
have moved to cities like New York City or Washington DC for a career? Not the purpose of having family and friends around, but your coworkers. That became your friends, but you don't have that anymore. So when friendship is no longer celebrated, we have people now that are disconnected from each other and lonely and have very artificial connections at this point.
That is so good. Artificial connections. I mean, I really think that's a key word right there because you don't know why that person's in your life. Or I know when I spoke to you last time, you talked about people wanting to be your friend because they want to know where you got your hair done, or can I get this information from her? I want to be her friend to get information from her, but I really don't want to be her friend. You know, so do you feel like because of what we've been seeing on TV and just the cattiness or just the things that we've been seeing around us, have we lost compassion for one another? Like you said, nobody's coming around when you have a baby or, you know, to celebrate you when you have these exciting moments. Have we lost that love and compassion for one another? What do you all have to say about that?
Well, I can go since one thing that I would like to say, I think, um, in the current society or current, we can't help where we are right now, but I think we have put so much focus on what I really think we've become very selfish, right? Everyone wants to have, you know, 100,000 followers on Instagram. They want their business to flourish. All four of us have our own businesses, right? But even though we don't know each other, this night could be a night where I can say, well, Tiffany, what do I have? What skill set do I have to offer you? And vice versa. Really, what skill set do you have? I want to write a book. Can you share your experience with me? We've gotten so far into ourselves that we don't know how to ask for help anymore. And most times don't want to give it. We want to see our sister struggle because we had to struggle. So if I had to do the work, you need to go do the work yourself. It's
You better
the
say
mind
that.
has adjusted. Okay. So I don't want
Wow.
to take up too much time. So whoever's next, please chime
Let me
in.
piggyback off of what you just said. What you said was key because I've found that even with what I'm doing right now, people don't want to help you. Like they want to charge you for everything. And I understand that you have a business. I'm not trying to diminish your brand. But if I ask a simple question, you shouldn't send me an invoice. I'm just trying to get some information, lead me to the right person. So a lot of times we're not willing to share the information, or we just kind of, just like how, you know, you used to say, girl, where'd you get that? Girl, I don't know. My auntie gave me this. You know where you bought that from because you just don't want her to have that, right? So, Kimberly, what do you have to say about this?
I think to a certain degree, we have a lost compassion for ourselves. We find ourselves competing, comparing. We're cursing one another. We're criticizing, and we're not constructive. It's okay to give constructive criticism, you know, to uplift one another. And so, no, it's not okay for us to celebrate, you know, our sister falling or our sister's downfall, or to, you know, see someone struggling or not wanting to help out. And I think those are issues that we deal with in ourselves because we feel like, okay, if I give this out, then they're going to have one up on me, you know, and that's not the way, you know, that it should be. So to some extent, yeah, we have seen it. And again, a lot of it is portrayed in media, especially the way that they portray African American women. us, how they portray, you know, women of color is disgusting. You know, we're fighting, we can't get along, we're cursing one another out. And, you know, it's like we live for the drama, and you find yourself disconnected from, you know, sometimes kingdom relationships because of foolishness, because of jealousy, because of all of these, you know, insecurities that we deal with. And so having to do that internal heart check, okay, what's going on with me that I don't want to see my sister do well? It's an internal heart check that we have to do. And a lot of times we don't want to do it because it's ugly. But we need to check these hearts because they out of order.
Kimberly, you gotta come and preach on this thing tonight, because you said a mouthful. We cussing, we condemning, we're putting each other down, especially as African American women, women of color. You know, we're looking crazy on social media, pulling off wigs and acting a fool and fighting each other, beating each other down the street. And then a lot of times it's over a man who playing both of y'all and got somebody else over here on the side. So we have to really understand and value us, who we are as queens, right? We have to know who am I, like we talked about in the beginning. Who am I? And if I know who I am, I'm not going to accept and tolerate bad behavior from a man or a woman in my life. You all, thank you so much for joining us on tonight. Tag and share. I see some family members coming in the room. Hey, y'all, thank you so much for joining. Put your comments in the chat. So Tiffany, it's your turn. What do you feel about this topic or this particular question?
I agree with both ladies. What I have experienced is that I feel like when we come to the point where we've lost compassion, you know, like we were talking about earlier, it has a lot to do with, I feel it has a lot to do with a loss of identity, because we have not taken the time to figure out who we are. And if we did that work, if we did that and understood who we were and actually walked in it, we wouldn't have time to compare. We wouldn't have time to compete. We wouldn't have time to condemn and tear other people down, because we understand we have our own lane. We have our own purpose. We have our own walk. And none of that requires us to be worried about what the next sister is doing. We should have done enough time working out the purpose and the goals that God has given us, that the only thing we have time for is to support and encourage one another. And so I feel like what Andrea was saying about the selfishness, she took the words right out of my mouth. It really, and it's not to deflect, but the season that we're in is teaching us to be selfish. It's teaching us to survive and self-survival only, because everybody is like this, literally 6 feet apart. And now that 6 feet apart with this virus going on, we treat one another like that, whether we're concerned about the virus or not now. And so we're using it as an excuse to not have compassion. And I've had to check myself, when like if I see someone who needs help, and I'm driving by, I usually have the heart, let me pull over, see if this sister needs help. Now I'm like, I don't know, I don't know what she's got going on. And so I have to constantly do a check, like, you know what, I need to maintain who God created me to be and just ask him for wisdom instead of automatically going to being rude or being, hurtful towards someone.
That is so true. We have to learn how to embrace one another. Like you said, the 6 feet apart, we were treating each other 6 feet apart before this pandemic, because we didn't want to get close to anyone. We didn't want to get our feelings hurt. We didn't want to go through that heartache again, I guess, for certain people who have had that experience. I know we probably all have had heartbreak in a relationship, even in friendships with our girlfriends, with our sister friends. And now, talking about heartache, what are some things that you all have done in the past to mend a broken friendship? Or have you even tried to mend the friendship? Or you just said, forget it, I'm not going to put forth that work to mend this friendship? What have you done, Tiffany, to mend a broken friendship in the past? Or have you even done that? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
That's a little better, yeah.
Okay. There is a friendship that I have had in my life for a few years now. It's been rocky. It's been up and down. And normally I'm quick to make amends. Normally I'm quick to repair it. But I think that what I have learned to do, because I am so gracious, is that I've learned to really, like we were saying in the beginning, check for those boundaries. And I have to weigh it out, and I also have to ask God, because not everybody's supposed to go with us in every season. And so I have to ask God, is this a relationship? Is this a friendship that I'm supposed to be pushing for right now in this season. It doesn't mean that I have to let go of it completely, but is it a distraction? Is it something that's going to keep me emotional? Is it good for me right now? Am I good for them right now? And so when I think about mending, I have learned out of past experiences and hurts and pains to go to God about it, or to just sit with myself. Where am I right now? What do I have to offer? Am I toxic? You have to, I think when you think about mending friendships, you have to think about why it's separated in the first place and really be honest about it, work through that, dig through that, and then see what's left after.
That is so good. And I just piggyback off what Kimberly said earlier. We have to do a heart check. We have to sometimes say, you know what? I need to check me, because if all my friendships are falling apart, what am I doing wrong? What am I saying? How am I responding? What toxicity do I have within me that needs to be healed? Maybe we have some brokenness from our childhood or whatever that needs to be healed, and we need to work through that. We need to have a discussion. Maybe I need to talk to God about it. Like, Lord, fix me, work on me. And Andrea, what do you feel? Have you gone through that? I know as a friendship coach, but sometimes we give out advice, but we don't take it ourselves. Have there been some friendships, that you have that you worked out, or maybe you just said, forget it, I don't want to work this out?
Well, let me be very transparent here. The birth of my platform, Friendship Coaching, was out of the multiple and many relationships that I've had and did not work. And like Tiffany said, it had to come to a self-evaluation, because like I stated earlier, with not all, but many of the situations that happen, I truly tried to go in and say, can we talk about it? Is there, can we meet for lunch, have a conversation? And I noticed what would happen a lot of times, and I don't know if you ladies have had an experience like this, the other person is not even willing to be honest with why they no longer want to speak to you. And it may be something so small, but they're just like, I just don't want the friendship anymore. But you poured your heart out to this person, and you're wondering what exactly I did wrong. And what happened was, or at least what happens in a lot of cases, you're going to the next relationship without healing from this one, because you didn't have the proper information to not, if there was a behavior that happened that you did, you can't correct it because they're not being honest with you, so you can go forward to the next situation and not repeat it. So then you have multiple situations, and it may not, like you said, Tiffany, you don't know what people are going through. A lot of times in friendships, when you think about us as African American women, like it's down and told as a lot of things probably happen from your households to college, high school, and we carry a lot of hurt. And we put a lot of that hurt, not necessarily all into male relationships, but we carry those hurts into our female relationships because that's our confidant. That's who we speak to. And then we're so easily ticked off at something so minute, and we're willing to give up on that relationship. So to say if I've had this happen, I definitely have had it happen. And that is the birth child and birth reason for friendship coaching.
Thank you so much for being transparent about that. And that is so true. We just really need to, really check ourselves and really communicate and just really see where the other person is and see if the relationship a lot of times is worth saving. Kimberly, do you want to add anything to this question? Kimberly? Okay, so we lost Kimberly. So we're going to keep going. I hope you all are enjoying this conversation just as much as we are having it. This has been a exciting night so far. Please tag your girlfriends, your sister friends, your enemies. Tag them. Let's learn how to mend some relationships and learn how to be queens and be better women going into 2021. So let's talk about envy. A lot of times, we've talked about jealousy and envy, and, envy is that thing where it's like, I want what they have, I'm not going to be happy until I have what they have. I'm not going to be satisfied until I have that job that she has. I think I deserve that. Why can't I be in that position? How have you all dealt with envy in the past? How have you dealt with envious people in your lives? Let's see. Andrea, why don't you go first? Tell us how you've dealt with envy in the past.
Envy in the past. I think first of all, for me, I'm a person that started off life very naive, and I didn't even understand what that was. Competition, any of that stuff. I wasn't raised that way, but I started to notice it as I started to get older, and someone would always would hear the chatter and stuff behind your back. I would confront it head on, but it didn't always work out for me. I would ask, "Hey, is there an issue?" One of the things that I think that has happened with women when it comes to envy, jealousy, and all those things, we don't celebrate happiness, or we don't celebrate if someone else has something that we like. We don't compliment. We want to go say, "Oh, she thinks she's this," or "She thinks she's that." She went and got her hair done today, or look at her outfit, or whatever. Just all of those emotions that come up in women. I don't know. Again, I feel like it has a lot to do with your background and how you cope with stuff, and not being able to compliment another woman. I think there's an issue at hand that needs to be confronted and talked about. And I think conversations like this is really what's going to help.
Thank you so much for, for answering that and being honest about it. So, Kimberly, I'm not sure if you heard the question. We're talking about envy and how you've dealt with that in the past. And, I want to talk about what Andrea was saying. I've experienced that, she thinks she's this or she thinks she's that. And I've never, ever thought of myself as the person that they were describing. She thinks she's better than, she thinks she's cute or whatever. Yes, I know I'm nice looking. I'm not going to sit there and be like, "Oh, no." Or she thinks she's smart. Yes, I am those things, but I never thought I was better than anybody else. And so when people project those attitudes towards you, maybe there's that jealousy there. And again, Andrea, like you said, they don't want to be honest about it. When you confront them in a nice way, like, is there an issue? Do you, are we good? Like, I noticed that you looked at me a certain way, or you rolled your eyes, or you said something about me. Are we good? And they're not honest about it. And that's what we need to start doing. There's nothing wrong in being honest. I think we hurt ourselves even more when we're telling these lies and we're not being honest with ourselves, and we go forward with new relationships with these built up walls or attitudes. And it continues to be a domino effect, and we're hurting more relationships as we go on, instead of addressing, why did I say that about her? Why do I think she feels this way? Instead of me getting to know her, she might be a nice person, but because I may want what she has, I'm going to talk about her behind her back or whatever. And it's unfortunate because so many women do that to one another. Tiffany, how have you handled envy with people that were supposedly friends or people that you knew?
So I'm on the other side of it. I used to struggle with envy, and it was a hard road for me. It wasn't that I didn't want to see anybody happy or succeed, or I wasn't, proud of them. It was something inside of me that I had not dealt with yet. I needed healing still. I was dealing with a lot of self-rejection and negative self-image. And so when somebody else came up with something that was lovely or new or whatever it was, I didn't have enough confidence in myself, and I didn't realize my own self-worth, and I didn't think that I could have it too. I didn't think that I was good enough to have it as well. And so it was more of a self-pity, as in, well, why do they get that? Or why do they get this? And we don't stop to think the work that a person puts in to get to where they are. They don't just wake up one day and boom, it's there. It's a process, and it takes progress. And I had to learn that for myself. Like, I can have those things too, just for what's meant for me though. What you see somebody else have is not for you. And I had to learn that. So I didn't necessarily have people envious of me that I'm aware of. I'm the one that struggled with it, but it comes from a negative self-image and not thinking that you're good enough to obtain those things as well.
Wow, Tiffany, thank you so much for being transparent and honest about that, because a lot of women, I think we don't admit that. And I can admit that I've experienced that as far as myself, because I've experienced rejection. I've experienced disappointment or insecurities within myself, and I talk about that on the platform about being insecure or struggling with low self-image. So yes, you see somebody else with a happy marriage or with a new home or with that promotion, and you don't and you have to really be honest with yourself and look at yourself in the mirror and say, wow, I was envious. Lord, help me with that because I need to work on that. Kimberly, why don't you chime in?
Yeah, so at some point dealing with that as well, I think that the way to overcome it is to one, always do that internal heart check, right? And then two, compliment. You know, we see a lot of things on Facebook and it's easy to scroll or who she thinks she is. No, go back and compliment. Girl, you are doing your thing. I'm proud of you. You rocking this out. Like the more that you do it, you'll see that thing begin to break. So force yourself to give that compliment. So that initial thought that you had in your head about this individual is what it was. Yes, she is all of that. Yes, she is doing it. Yes, she's doing great things. And guess what? You can too. And so when you force yourself to do that, you'll begin to see things break. But then also, when you think about the great things that God has allowed you to do, the many things that you have accomplished, don't forget those accomplishments. Don't forget those open doors and, you know, the opportunities that you've had. So don't diminish what God has done. No, we're not going to be ungrateful, but you can celebrate your sister. So yeah, she is all that. Yeah, that outfit is bad. She wearing it. Yeah, she all of that stuff. You know, and just being honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Lord, I'm struggling in this area. Lord, I don't like this about me. And when you get in his face, he's going to get you together if you allow him to take you through, you know, this healing process. So I've had to do that. And so when I
Yeah.
feel those things happening, let me go ahead and support this sister. Let me go ahead and purchase her book. How can I help you? What is it that you need? What can I give? You know, some of the knowledge or the information that I have, I want to give it to you. I'm going to show up to your book signing. So things like that. And so what you will see is you will gain a community of people who will support you, who will share, you know, your stuff. They'll tell you about different events and things going on, but you got to just listen, press that like button, give her that comment.
I want to interject and just say one thing here.
Yeah.
It's interesting that all three of you guys had very similar experiences, but the perspective from me is I have always looked at women in admiration, right? And a lot of times I've tried to nurture or actually see someone that I like and try to be their friend. Now, when Tiffany was talking about rejection, that is the one place that I have experienced rejection is when I see someone and I'm like, wow, you know, she, whether it's an educated, accomplished woman, she looks a certain way. I'm very, you probably can tell, I'm very open to like introducing myself, you know, explaining who I am. And, you know, because I would like to, I'm one of those people, I do want to celebrate you and support you. But I found that a lot of times when I've done that, I've been rejected. And I don't know, it's the syndrome where I think about it when I'm talking to a client or something. And I always say, remember when you're in high school and you would always have certain groups of girls. It would be the science people, the science girls, the cheerleaders, the this or that, whatever, the popular kids. And women don't like to admit this, but this is so true. Even in friendships, like we sum up women too. And if she doesn't have the ideal image in our head, a lot of times we unknowingly reject that person and don't even have an opportunity to get the chance to know them. Maybe she don't have the flyest outfit on. Maybe she doesn't have weave down to her behind, or whatever the image or we think the person should be around us looks like. And sometimes internally you reject that person and don't even realize it, and you didn't even give yourself a chance to know them, and that could have been a value brought to your life. So I just want to make sure that we say a lot of times when we talk about rejection, we're doing it from a different perspective as well.
Wow, that is so awesome. I mean, y'all all in my bedroom, y'all all in my business. I mean, Andrea, what you're talking about is so true. What Kimberly was saying is so true as far as, you know, just the things that we are dealing with, how we handle people, what we say to people, how we respond to certain situations. And, like you said, we're treating them a certain type of way and we don't even realize it. We're rejecting them and not even realizing, or we're turning them away or turning our nose up at that person, however we're doing it, and we don't even realize it. I want to read a comment someone posted. I can't see all the comments because some of these comments are not on the page, but Nikki was saying, we have no control over what another person feels. As far as envy, it is a vibe that is easily picked up by another. in this situation, I usually attempt to befriend the individual and try to guide them in a direction where they can have been better. What happens is they don't necessarily want what you have; they want to be better than you, and that's when the competition kicks in. So they don't want to have what you have, but they want to surpass you. They want to be like, I want to kind of get some information from her, but I want to outdo her. I want to, and so now here's that. I don't know if that's a healthy competition or unhealthy competition. Have you all had women come into your life that are like befriend you, and then they end up competing with you? Have you ever had that happen? I know I've had it happen to me several times. Andrea, what has been your experience?
Um, I just want to say, for the person who commented, it made me think about that one. Like, if you ever walk into a room, whether you're at a conference or an event, and you get all dolled up and you feel so good about yourself, and I have to sometimes have a conversation with myself, especially if it's an unknown group, right? If it's a networking event or something like that, and you walk into the room feeling good, and you make eye contact with this one woman, and she looks at you so evil, like you don't know if you have pie on your face or whatever, right? You're like, well, what did I do? She gives you this energy, like, don't even come this way. That type of energy. So I just wanted to say, she's right. It's a spirit. It's an energy that a person can carry with them, and they will show it without even saying a word. So, because that comment definitely made me think of those moments.
And the person doesn't even know you. Like you said, you walk in a room, you don't even know this woman. It's like, you don't even know me, and you're already prejudging me by my outer. I could be the sweetest person in the world, but you don't even know me, and you're judging me because of my outer. Tiffany, how has your experience been in this type of situation?
Interesting, because I'm a feeler. I feel a lot. And so I don't necessarily look at people, but I can feel the energy. And what I've had to learn to do is just remind myself why I'm there and why I'm not there, and stay focused on the task, because I can be easily distracted by, that type of energy. And I just have had to learn, you're here for this purpose. You're not here for them. You're not here to do any of those things. This is why you're here. Get in, get the job done, meet who you're supposed to meet, and keep it pushing. Because if you're not careful, like Andrea was saying, before you know it, you have went from confidence level 10 all the way down to 0, just because somebody looked at you wrong. And I think that is part of the enemy's motivation, because he knows us as women, and he knows trigger points. And if we, don't keep ourselves together and reminding ourselves of who we are and why we're here, then it'll be easy to get distracted and pulled off course. And so I try my best to be mindful of my response. And I think that's very important, because you don't have to respond to everything, even internally. You don't have to respond to it. And so that's what I have been practicing, is working on my response to that type of energy.
So have you ever walked into a room and you gave that person that look? Like, that person walked into the room and you saw her and you gave her that look like, thinks she all that? I don't know who she thinks she is. Have you ever given that person that look? And if you did you try to correct it? Did you apologize? Did that person say anything? Kimberly, since you're back, um, why don't you address that? Because it's like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm perfect, and I've never probably looked at somebody a little sideways every now and then. So I know I've done it. So Kimberly, why don't you talk about it?
My apologies, number one, for this internet connection. But yes, I have done that. And again, it's just like an immediate check. Like, Kimberly, check yourself. Check yourself, having to and being around women. And it goes back to knowing who you are and being confident in who you are, and not allowing, there will always be, people around us who have, gifts and talents and abilities and things that we don't have. But it's okay to embrace these people and to connect with them and not judge them from this outside appearance. The truth is, a lot of times when you really get past the external and you get to know someone, then you'll realize, like, man, this girl is down to earth. you know, so I'm still going back to the heart check. Like that's been my response. But yes, I have done that. I have been wrong. I have missed it. And you know, even if I feel myself now doing that, it's immediately okay. No, get it together.
Yes.
So yeah.
And I think that's the root of it. We have to check our spirits. We have to check our hearts. We have to check our motives. We have to check ourselves and be like, girl, what is your issue tonight? Or what do you have going on? And admit that I don't like what I just did. That was ugly. I don't appreciate that about me, Lord. That wasn't cool. Help me. Get me together. So, Andrea, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, I do. And I want to say, I think we all have at one point worked in corporate America. And one of the most disheartening things I think could happen with the examples that we talked about is if you are in corporate America at a conference or something like that, and you are one of the only African American representatives, or we're there, and you see another Black woman and that happens, it's heartbreaking. You know what I mean? It is very heartbreaking, and we have to be honest, because I'm sure you guys have been in situations where you go somewhere and you see maybe one or two others. I mean, I just want to give this one example. I went to a travel conference, and I'm saying this because we're all diverse women. And I remember looking over and walking into the room. There was all the girls who had natural hair, the Black women over here. The light-skinned Black women over here, some of the girls who had weave back here, and then the Spanish girls, right? And then all the rest were white. As soon as I went towards the girls with the natural hair, that look that we're talking about, the look was, don't come over here. I literally tried to work the room. Where did I end up? With the Spanish girls and the white girls. And that's the kind of stuff that I understand. We try to make a connection. What I was saying earlier, we make a connection from a lot of times what we see, what we think is like-mindedness. But then Kimberly, as she said, you don't even know what value that person has because you're so focused on the outside. We're all beautiful. We're all educated. We all, even if you go to college, it doesn't matter. You have life experience. Why wouldn't you want to be open? If we can all afford to come to this conference, there is value in us. So don't separate like that. We have to be conscious and aware of what we're doing as women, especially I'm saying that because I see it a lot with African American women, and we block, and it's not a lot of us in the room.
Right. And that is so true. And now that you brought that up, I want to go to the next point as far as that label of the angry Black woman. Again, like you said, we're probably the only district manager in that organization. We're the only Black person, the only person that looks like us in the room at that moment. And so if we're in a leadership position, we're a supervisor and we express ourselves passionately, a lot of us do that. And, the people that don't look like us may be turned off by that or our expressions or however we're expressing ourselves. And so we're called, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I didn't mean it like that. Calm down or whatever. And there was no animosity there or anything. So now you're known as this angry Black woman, or watch out for her. She's going to say this. She's going to do this. Have you ever experienced this before? Because I have. I'm the only Black counselor at the school that I work at, and I deal with it on a regular basis. It can be disheartening. It can be frustrating. And so, I had to learn how to navigate the waters in a certain way, and I'm still navigating the waters. How have you handled that, Kimberly? If that has happened to you, how have you handled that?
I haven't had that experience at work, but I will say, like at a restaurant, right? I hate poor customer service. And so you go in with this expectation that you're going to order this food, you're going to get it in a timely manner, you're going to be treated respectfully and all of this. And it's like, the moment, sometimes the racism, the disrespect is just blatant. You can tell from the moment I witnessed this a couple of weeks ago in Florida at the airport, walking in and the people looking at me like, the one lady who initially greeted me, she had one of her coworkers, a male, come and serve me, and their attitude was horrible. And so when I addressed everything that had gone wrong, everybody's looking like, oh, so terrified. Had it been one of my counterpart, it would have been just, oh, she was disrespecting and she just, addressing the matter. But things like that have gotten to be addressed, but I've never experienced it in the workplace. But I don't know, it's disheartening. It's disrespectful, and I just don't let it slide. So
right,
I guess in that sense, I was seen as the angry Black woman, but it is what it is.
And I think it's because we stand up for ourselves. They look at us like that. How dare you stand up for yourself? How dare you speak up about anything that, is obviously disrespectful, but how dare you address the matter? Tiffany, have you ever experienced that, whether it was in the workplace or whether it was in a personal setting, like you said, a restaurant?
I have actually, and I'm usually not a combative person. I'm very passive. But I had been working on that. And so I got my first practice test, and there was something happening, and something in me just woke up. And it's okay to defend yourself. There's nothing wrong with speaking up. But when I did, and I think it was because I'm usually very, okay, all right, okay, fine. But because I was very firm and very stern and very direct about it, and because I was the only person of color, it appeared to be very threatening to them. And I was surprised because I wasn't rolling my neck. I wasn't smacking my lips. I wasn't, acting out of character. I was just being direct and being firm about what I was saying. But they didn't say it, but I could tell their interaction with me after that was very much like, oh, don't say anything with her. She's gonna yell at you, or, she's gonna go off on you. And it was really sad. But for me, it was freedom. Because whether we are Black, white, Hispanic, whatever it is, we don't deserve to be mistreated, and it's okay to defend yourself.
That's right. And I do agree with that. Andrea, have you ever experienced that or gone through that in any type of setting or environment?
Not exactly that, but what I will say is I have been in a situation where I'm the only person of color, and our counterparts felt very comfortable with me to the point where they let me know that, or at least they felt that I was the exception to the rule. And I was very offended. Like Tiffany, her personality, she at one point was very passive. And a lot of times they like that. They want you to be in your place or whatever. But to be told that is something different. To say that I'm different from Miranda because I'm not saying anything, or you put me in a box or in a category, or you're a different type of Black girl. That's just as offensive. Like, why are you? That's offensive. I know. As a woman in general, and I know we're not talking about this, but when it comes to our white counterparts and how they're able to walk through life versus how we're able to walk through life, it's just very different. They don't have to get upset as much as we do. They, if they start crying, someone will run over and ask what's going on. We've always had to be strong. So of course, our mothers, that's who raised, they taught us, hey, if you see something going on, do something about it, right? If they don't allow someone to mistreat you, that's just how most of us were raised.
Right. And you know what, that is so true. Why does there have to be an exception? Like, you're not like them, or, what does that mean? Like, or my Black friends or whatever, when they use that word, I have Black friends, or, you're not like them, or you speak intelligent, when they say things like that, they say it, I believe, out of their honesty, but I don't think they understand that it's disrespectful. I think they're genuinely saying what they feel because that white privilege, I believe, because they feel like they can say whatever they want to say. I'm going to say what I want to say because I am a white woman. I'm a white man. I'm going to say what I want to say. And if it offends you, then, oh, well, and if you respond to it, that's on you. But this is what I feel about you. And this is what I feel about the situation. And they are okay to say that, because I think a lot of time, I call that passive aggressive behavior. You could pretty much cuss me out without really not cussing me out or saying what you really want to say. And it's acceptable because you said it the way you said it. But when I respond to it, there's a problem. that's where the issue comes in. That's where the drama comes in. So, ladies, this conversation is getting really good. And I just want to thank everybody for joining this conversation. We have the Queens panel. I have Tiffany Francois, I have Kimberly Spruill, and Andrea Smoke. They are three phenomenal women. And we're talking about being queens and things that we're experiencing. And I know, Andrea, you touched on it a little bit earlier. You talked about the light-skinned girls and the natural hair girls. Have you all ever experienced any type of colorism? Because, all four of us are different shades of brown, beautiful Black women, different shades. But, if you're lighter skin, I know when I was growing up, the light-skinned girls with the long hair got all the guys, or the girls that were a little bit darker skin, they weren't preferred or whatever. This was back in the 80s and the 90s. So have you all ever experienced colorism? And even in the workplace, when you see a woman that's a little bit lighter than you or has nice or not good hair or whatever, maybe they're more preferred or they get the promotions quicker or whatever. Have you all ever experienced any of this, and how did you handle it? And how did it make you feel? So it's a two-part question. How did you handle it if you have? And how did it make you feel? So Andrea, would you like to go first?
Sure. It's very interesting with me because I think in our last conversation, or maybe I didn't mention this before, but I grew up in the South, and you always heard about the brown paper bag. I grew up in Atlanta, so there was Spelman University, Morehouse, and all those things. And traditionally, to go to those schools, they primarily they preferred a light-skinned woman and all those different things. My mom, she wanted me to get what she felt was the best education. So she sent me to a predominantly white school. It was a handful of us at the school. So I didn't necessarily experience colorism, honestly, until I really got around Black people more. And I felt it more so amongst us. I didn't feel it from the white people. They just look at us, you just all Black, But when I actually would go to my friends' houses or hang out with my friends, and like you said, it would be the lighter one in the room or whatever would get the more attention. You've had light eyes and things of that nature. So I've never honestly, I never had that happen. But I will say, when I moved, because I live in the DC area now, all of my life, I thought, I wasn't high yellow, but I was I was considered light skinned at some point. When I came up here, even as an adult, they've told me no. So I was just like, it's so different geographically, how the mindset of people is just so different, from the South and coming up here closer to the New York City area, how people think. Right. But I haven't had any negative thing happen when it comes to colorism, but I don't like when I see Black women cut other Black women off for certain things related to color. And right now, because it was the natural girl movement, I've seen more of that than I have, in fact, I feel like being brown is celebrated right now.
Right.
More when I say brown, like a chocolate, like I see that in commercials and things like that. Like I think we're celebrating, which is a beautiful thing, because I didn't see those images growing up.
Right, exactly. And that's true. I didn't see them either and it's being more celebrated now. Kimberly, have you ever experienced colorism, and how did you handle that? Kim, we can't hear you. Kimberly, we can't hear you.
Let me unmute myself. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm just going on. So I remember when I was in elementary school and we were filling out, it was around the time where they were teaching us about voting and things of that nature. And so you had to check, we were checking boxes like, what's your race? I remember us being young, like, are we Black? Are we brown? Are we, and even the white kids, well, what color are we? Are we peach? Dealing with those things and remembering that just like you said, Andrea, the lighter skin classmate would be more preferred, and we wanted to have the lighter skin, and we wanted that long hair. And I'm like, well, why can't my hair, move and swing and, all of these things. And so I think being young and dealing with those identity issues at a young age can carry over into your adult age. And I believe that that's a lot of where, this whole colorism thing stems from, because the, wrong is associated with, the darker skin, and the lighter you are, you're more accepted. And, we hear what's white is right, that type of thing. But I just do remember being young and having those moments, or just like, well, why can't I be, or look a certain way? But even in my adult age, I know that even men, will prefer the exotic looking woman, whatever that means, the wavy hair and all of these things. So, I'm familiar with those things, but yeah, that's my take.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Tiffany, what has your experience been with colorism, if you've ever experienced that, and how did you handle it?
I actually haven't been put in that situation as of yet. I've had cute little experiences. As a preschool teacher, you hear kids say, things all the time, and it's really interesting to see how their minds develop and how they relate to colorism. And so, like Kimberly was saying, I hear a lot of "I'm peach," "I'm yellow," or "I'm brown," or "I'm black," and they ask a lot of questions, trying to identify who they are. And sometimes, they'll ask me, "Teacher, are you black? Are you brown? What color are you?" And so we'll get out the color chart and we'll make it a fun thing. But I just feel like colorism is something that will always be here, and there's not much that we can do to change it. This is all based off of opinion, and like Kimberly has been saying, heart checks. I think that it's really sad, especially in our own community, when we are ready to tear down the next woman because her skin shade is different from ours. I think that that's really disheartening, and we have to do better. But personally, in my life, I have not experienced it, but I've seen it, and it's not pleasant.
Right, it's not. And so, you know what? It's just an unfortunate situation, and we need to be better at accepting everyone and embracing everyone. And I know I've had people ask me before, about, oh, how did you feel? Because, when he broke up with you, he got with a light skinned woman. How did that make you feel? And I never really thought about it like that, because she was light skinned or lighter than me. I had an issue with her, or I had an issue with the situation. And that was the first time, and this was like about 10 years ago when I went through my divorce. My ex-husband decided to be with a girl who was, very light-skinned. And someone asked me, how did that make you feel when, and I never even thought about it. And so unfortunately, as adults, as grown people still make that an issue sometimes when it comes to being preferred, or how did that make you feel? And it's so unfortunate that as women, as grown-ups, and as grown people, Black people, we're still dealing with those types of things. And I know Joyce asked a question about, my question is, as a queen, what do we do to rise above that? And we will address that a little bit later. But I want to get to Black love. You see all these hashtags Black love. You see all these Instagrams and groups and all these things talking about couples and Black love, celebrating Black love. And it's such a beautiful thing to see. Do anyone have any thoughts about that, or how are they feeling about, because you see a lot of times you hear women talk about how Black men don't support Black women, or how they don't have Black women's backs, or, the interracial dating and different things like that. So let's talk about that. If you have any type of perspective on it, if you want to address it, if you don't want to, you don't have to, but I always like to talk about love and relationships as well. So does anyone want to go first, or have any comments about that? Andrea?
I do. So I've been married for 21 years. And one of the things that I can say, in the stretch of the 21 years, most of the people who came along with us, and from the beginning to now, most of them are all divorced, unfortunately. So we, being in this space, in this place right now, there are really not a lot of examples of people who have positive outlet, a lot of negative things about partnering and being married and things like that. I think Black love is beautiful. I think that it's not celebrated enough. I feel that we, as a society, are embracing being single. I hear it breaks my heart a lot of times when I hear women say, "Well, I can do bad by myself. I don't need a man," or I can pay my bills. But to me, it doesn't matter if you can pay your bills or whatever. When you have partnership in life and you can go along and have someone who cares for you and love on you, it's nothing like it. I don't care how much money cannot buy happiness. I don't care how much you have, but if you have that one person in your life that you can rely on, that's loyal to you, you're loyal to them. Of course, you may have hiccups in the road, but then if you learn how to get over those things, because basically when you're in a relationship, you're growing with that person. I know they always say, you can't have two halves to make a whole, and you got to come into the marriage whole. It's impossible to do that, because coming into the marriage, depending on when you do it, if you get married at 25, are you whole at 25? No. You grow in your woman and to become this woman, right? Now, it may be different if you get married in your 40s. You pretty much should be an established woman. But I think we need to embrace and talk about what positive images and positive things, and stop saying that the Obamas are the end all be all and nobody can be Barack Obama. Because I'm sure if I sat down with Michelle and she wanted to be open and honest, she would say the same thing I probably would say about my husband. I remember the night that he got on my nerves and da 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 da. Like, he's not a perfect person. It does not exist.
Right. Kimberly, do you want to address that, or you have anything you want to add in regard to dating or Black love? Or
Well, I would say I believe that Black love is beautiful. It's not celebrated. We see, I think people are moving away, or not a lot of people are having a desire to be married. I think that people are so prepared for the wedding day that they're not ready for the marriage. And so maybe that's why marriage doesn't work. But I desire to be married. And even in my time of singleness, just enjoying this time, because I do understand that at some point the liberty and the freedom that I get, I have to just come and go and do what I want to do, and not have to, consider my husband. Some things I won't be able to do. But I think that marriage is great. I think it's beautiful to see children. We see so many. Is my connection okay?
yes.
Okay.
I can hear you.
We see so many families that have been separated, where you have single parent homes, and children these days are living with aunties and grandparents. And so seeing that strong two-parent household, I think, is important. Understanding, communication, and understanding, trust and loyalty and compromise and selflessness, and supporting one another. I think all of those things are important. And so I desire to experience that, one day. And I think that even, what we see on the media affects our reality, period, especially what our children see. And so seeing these broken homes, even with us as women, why we have to be the mistress on the side. We can be so educated and we can be so powerful, but we have to be someone's mistress. And, just for the media to change what we see, it's important. And so Black love is beautiful, and it definitely needs to be celebrated.
I agree. It does need to be celebrated. It does matter. It is important. Tiffany, do you have anything you want to add to this question or topic?
Yes, I agree with all of the ladies. I feel that the love in our community has been silenced, along with many other things concerning us, which is, it's a shame. But I feel like it doesn't have to be. It doesn't always have to be in the forefront. It doesn't always have to be plastered all on social media for it to be legit. And I think that is where a lot of us have reduced ourselves to. If it doesn't present well on social media, then it's not legit. If, we haven't done this or that, then it's not legit. But, love of any kind is about loyalty, and it's about consistency, and it's about dedication. And if you don't have those things, no matter what skin color you are, it's not going to work. And so I think that we as a people, if we're talking about our own people, we have to remember that it starts at home. It's not all about what's happening on the outside. I think as a people, we get too focused on keeping up with everybody else that we miss the importance of simplicity. And that's what I feel, that needs to happen in our homes again. We need to bring back simplicity and genuine and authenticity into our relationship instead of basing it off of the celebrities that we see, because they're not showing everything that's happening at home.
Right.
Black love doesn't mean that we've got the 10-bedroom house and all of the fancy cars and the Gucci belts. That's not Black love. Love, period, starts with compassion, and it starts with understanding, and it starts with unity. And that is where we sometimes fail to address that unity situation. We're so used to division because that's what we've been taught since we were young. We're back with our ancestors, we've been taught division. And so I feel like if we can just stop for a minute and come together again, then that love can come naturally and it can grow and thrive. And that's how you see the couples that have been married 40, 50 years, because they have an understanding of why they're there. And I feel like we as a people have lost our why.
That is so good. Thank you for that. That's rich, because we have to understand the purpose of marriage is not just about the wedding dress and the day that we get married, but it's about the long haul. It's about going through the valleys. It's going through the ups and downs. It's going through the heartache and the pain and the frustrations and the day, like Andrea said, I don't like you today. You get on my nerves today. So how can we overcome that? How can we battle that? Or how can we get through that and still love each other and respect one another and continue to keep our family intact genuinely and not pretend or be phony? So I want to, the reason why we're here, we're the queen, I want to have this Queen's Crown is because how can we fix one another's crowns as women, as Black women, as successful women, as authors, as leaders, as coaches? We all have our individual platforms, but how can we go and fix each other's crowns as far as, when we see someone hurting or broken, what can we do to help that other person? What can we do to help this woman to be the best that she can be when she's down, when she's gone through heartache and pain, when she needs support? What can we do to support and help this other woman, this other queen that has her head bent down and she's heavy with life's challenges? Kimberly, I want to start with you.
I would say we can adjust one another's crown by being compassionate. I believe that even, if we're seeing our sister, struggling or going through a difficult time or needing help, then just being there, with a pure heart and pure motives as to why you're helping. Even I've been to, like out in a restaurant, or you're coming out of the restroom and you see this woman's got tissue on the bottom of her shoe. Some of us would just be like, that's not my business, but listen, hey,
Right.
Let me help you out. Things, something so simple as that. Like, we don't want to see each other embarrassed or all of those things. And so I think just having a pure heart, treating people the way that you want to be treated, is big. And I think that we have gotten away from that because of selfishness and, I'm going to stay in my lane, I'm going to mind my business, that has nothing to do with me. But, there is a way to show compassion, to be loving and be kind and help one another out with just a pure heart. And so that's how I think that we can adjust or help adjust our sister's crown.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, for sharing that. Tiffany, how can you, or what have you done to help lift another sister up and adjust her crown?
What I have discovered in my walk is that it's really difficult to fix another's crown if you haven't healed properly. And so a lot of times when, let's say you're going through something and somebody wants to come and encourage you, a lot of times they could be encouraging you through their own stuff, not necessarily through a healed place. And so you want to be careful when you're going to, help another sister, that you're not doing it out of a selfish place or out of your own brokenness. Okay, because we want to focus on her. We want to focus on what she's going through. And if we're still so self-absorbed and fixated on what we're going through, we'll make it about us. So what I have learned is, am I even in a place to help her, fix her crown, or am I coming to add more weight to it? And so that is what I have learned. It is best for me when I want to help somebody adjust their crown is to make sure, number one, I realize that I have my own. I'm not there to take hers. I'm not there to diminish hers. I'm there to help her adjust. But if I'm not adjusted, I'm going to bring what I'm carrying right over to her, and that's not going to benefit her. So that is how I have learned to help another sister adjust her crown, is making sure that I'm well adjusted.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Andrea.
I love both the ladies' answers. One of the things that I think I've learned is knowing how you can help. You know, sometimes we may have the best intentions, you know, the compassion, everything is there, but you have to know what you're capable of, right? I mean, you may have a situation where you actually may know that you have a friend that's truly depressed, right? And you are coming to her trying to give her all the, you know, uplift her and give her all the positivity, but knowing what you're capable of doing to help her adjust her crown, but also knowing that I may not be suitable for what she's going through right now. And that's okay too, because so many times we're women, so we always want to help. That's our nature. We want to help, but we also need to be aware of, like Tiffany saying, are you adjusted? Are you equipped? Have you fixed, you have maybe gone through a situation very similar, but did you heal that within yourself to be able to even offer her something? So I think just really knowing yourself and knowing what you can offer, what you're capable of. And if you're not, just love on her. If you can't do anything else, you can offer love, you can offer support. And if anything, and also offer a professional if it's beyond what you can do.
Right. And, you know, that is so true, especially now with what we're dealing with right now with mental health and, you know, people being isolated and different things like that. So many women go through mental health struggles, go through mental health issues. And I'm going to wrap this up shortly, but I wanted to address a couple of more things before we end tonight. If you're just now joining us, we're having the Queens panel. I'm talking to three amazing, beautiful women. We're talking about how to support one another as women, how to get through the various challenges that we experience and that we face, and what can we do to help one another? So I'm speaking with Tiffany Francois, Kimberly Sproul, and Amanda Smoke. Andrea Smoke, and we're talking about being queens. And so I want to address the mental health component because, you know, a lot of times women are dealing with being bipolar or depressed and different things like that. You know, and as a counselor, you know, I think it's so important to have a safe place to go to talk to, you know, be able to express your concerns, like you said, to get the professional help if that's where we need to lead that person to. Do you all have any recommendations or any suggestions if you've gone through any type of mental health challenges on how, you know, what can you say to help somebody else that may be experiencing a mental health challenge at this time? Kimberly, do you have anything you want to add? Because I know everyone hasn't experienced any type of mental health issues. Andrea or Tiffany, I know a lot of us, you know, may not have experienced that, but do you have any wisdom or encouragement or support to help someone that may be experiencing some mental health challenges right now? Tiffany?
Yes, I would just advise to not be ashamed. I think that mental health is something that's put down often, and it should not be. More light needs to be shed on it, and we need to embrace that this life is not perfect. I don't care what our profile picture looks like. There's, you know, there are things that are going on beyond that. And so I myself have dealt with that, and I sought help. I went and got counseling, and it helped me, you know, until I got to a place where I felt like I was stronger. And God forbid, should that ever come to that place again, then I would seek help. Don't be ashamed to seek help. God gave people the ability to be counselors and to help talk you through things. And so you don't have to be ashamed of it. You don't have to run away from it. It's healthy to get help.
That's good. Andrea?
One of the things, you know, as a coach, that I've learned, I think going back to earlier in our conversation, we were talking about how when you deal with women, you know, sometimes we don't know their background. You don't know the signs. You guys are in two professions where you probably have, you know, warning signs to look for within a person. I do have an example, for myself, but I remember early on in life, I had a friend, and it was actually her sister. And her beautiful, going back to what we shoot, beautiful light-skinned girl. All the guys liked her. And when she was vibrant, beautiful. She even had like a little girl. But one day, out of nowhere, I didn't know this, the family did. She fell into this depression where she would not talk for 6 months. Literally would not speak for 6 months. I had never experienced anything like that before. So I think as Black women, we've made a lot of discussions about, us being holding the community together, being the backbone, and how people view us as being stern and hard. I think we need to get to a place as women in general to say, as you said, Tiffany, to say it's okay to have help. I think it's almost impossible to go through life and never not seek any type of counsel, because you need to let it out. And it doesn't have to be black or white. I just think in life, you're going to go through something that you need to speak to someone that is a neutral party, not your girlfriend, not your mother, but someone you can actually sit down and explain your position and get that help that you need. It's very important. I think it's healing not only for you mentally, but spiritually as well, to be able to become a whole person again. It's like riding a bicycle. You learn, and it's something that you continue to do. So to build your mental muscle, I think it's very important for you to have either a coach or a counselor or a therapist, someone in your life to help you get over those hurdles.
And that is so true. Find a safe place to go to talk about your feelings, talk through your emotions, talk about what you're experiencing. And like Tiffany said, don't be ashamed, because everyone is experiencing something. We sometimes wear a mask. We sometimes have a facade. We masquerade behind a mask, the lashes, the lipstick, the hair, the clothes, the designer labels. We're masquerading behind these things and making it seem like we're all together when deep down inside we're hurting, we're broken, we're falling apart. We're dying inside and nobody knows about it. And I think it's really important to have at least one person that you can be vulnerable with, that you can be open with and say, you know what, I'm not feeling good today. I'm not feeling like myself. I need to talk to somebody. What can you help me? Can you direct me? If you can't help me, can you direct me? And I think it's so important for us to have these type of conversations, like you said, because we need to let people know it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to admit that you need help. It's okay to admit, you know what, I'm not the person that you see on the outside. I'm really hurting and I need some help. So I think that's so important that we be honest with ourselves.
And I think too, if you go to seek help, like Tiffany said, don't be ashamed of it. Talk about it. Say, if you see a friend, say, hey, this was my experience. So it will be something that's more, it's normal, instead of allowing someone to think, oh, if I go, they're going to think I'm crazy. No, this is normal. It's like going to get your teeth cleaned. It's like going to, get your annual physical. It should just simply be a part of life. Simply be a part of life.
And that's what they said, like with mental health, if we have cancer, we go get treatment. But if we have depression, we ignore it. It's a stigma. It's taboo. Mental health should be just like physical health, just like our physical bodies. It's our emotional health that needs help. We need to get the help that we need. We need to get the support that we need in order to be able to just help someone else and be the support that, and have that support. Hey, Kimberly, you're back. I was like, did she decide to leave us for the rest of the night? I'm not sure. So thank you for joining us. You're having some challenges over there, but you know what?
Yes.
But you know what? We were talking about mental health. I'm not sure if you heard what we were saying. If you have anything you want to share, or any encouragement or any suggestions for someone who may be battling mental health right now. And we were talking about getting help and counseling and being honest and talking to someone. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I know, as far as I know, the importance of having strong mental health. And I do know what it's like to have friends who battle with it. But one of the things that I've learned is to be so ever careful with the words that you use, like using the word crazy, certain words that will trigger certain emotions. It's important, just to be mindful of the words that you release, have a listening ear, and not judging them. not judging them. I don't know what it's like to deal with mental illness. I know what it's like to one time or two, what it feels like to lose my mind over somebody, but to have to deal, with this thing on a daily basis, I don't know what that's like, but I do know the importance of, have a listening ear, and just being available, if you just be available to offer advice and support, and, getting therapy, I think, is important. Going to speak to someone who doesn't, know you, I think, gives them an opportunity to just kind of open up and share with, someone that they may consider a stranger, because they won't feel judged. So that's been like,
and it's so important to not have that stigma, because I've dealt with depression, like Tiffany was saying, we've dealt with certain types of things. And sometimes you kind of feel ashamed or embarrassed, like, I don't know anyone who's dealt with this, another woman that looks like me or whatever. So I don't know if I can be open and vulnerable to share this. Even since the pandemic, I've had a panic attack. I've never had one in my life before, and I've had one since the pandemic, and I didn't know what it felt like. So now I'm able to, be able to be empathetic with those who are experiencing these types of things, and not be so judgmental, like, oh, you just being extra, you're being emotional, you're being dramatic. I used to tell my daughter, you're being a drama queen. But you know what, it's really something that's real and serious. And now that I've dealt with it on my own, it's like, wow, now I can better understand. And as I study mental health more, it's just really important for us, like you said, to be sensitive, empathetic, understanding, being a listening ear, even if we don't understand, but just be a listener, and not to point the finger or judge. You must have did something wrong, or you must be in sin, or just whatever. How church people, we can so quickly, have these type of sayings, instead of just being able to say, you know what, wow, this is real. And not only do you need prayer, but you also may need some real help, like some doctor help or some therapy. And there's nothing wrong with that. And we should make people feel ashamed. And so, Tiffany, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, just with what you and Kimberly were saying about being, gentle and kind, I think it's important to also remember to be those things towards yourself. Have compassion towards yourself. It's very easy to fall into a place of beating yourself up and condemning yourself, and that just doesn't make it, in my own experience, doesn't make it any better. And so you have to remember to be gentle. Life is happening, and we don't want to push and brush things under the rug just because we've been taught to be strong. Okay, sometimes strength means admitting that you're weak, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I just wanted to encourage all of us, be gentle, be kind with yourself. You are the first voice that you hear, and you want to be sure that you're speaking the right things.
And we need to sometimes take off our superwoman capes. Sometimes we just need to throw that cape to the side and say, look, I'm not superwoman today. I am Miranda, or I am Kimberly, I'm Tiffany, I'm Andrea. I am, I need to just let the walls down and be vulnerable with someone that I can trust. And again, that's going back to the beginning of our conversation, being discerning, knowing who we can trust. I'm not sure if we address Joyce's question, if she's still on here. My question is about, what do we do as queens to rise above our situations? Does anyone have any, I think we kind of addressed it, but when we're going through these different things and these different challenges, I think how we can rise above it is just being confident and professional, being ourselves, and just being, like you said, not being afraid to address the matter, not being silent and let somebody silence our voices, not letting someone silence our truth, because our emotions, how we feel, is our truth. And I believe that if we stand up and speak our truth, then maybe a lot of these issues that we are experiencing may start being solved or resolved or whatever. Does anyone else have anything they want to add to that? I know we kind of addressed it a little bit, but I just wanted to go back and say that in order to rise above what we deal with as women, as queens, as women that want to be examples, we just need to be an example. We need to be that woman, be the difference that we want to see in the world by our actions, our behavior, how we treat one another, how we respond to each other, how we interact with one another. And I think that's how we can rise above it and be elegant while we're doing it. We don't have to be shaped, like Tiffany said, we don't have to roll our neck and snap our fingers and do all of that. We can say it with elegance and grace when we address a matter that we're not pleased with. So, Does anyone have anything they want to add to that? All right. Well, you know what? As we are wrapping up this Queen's panel conversation, I just want to say when I say the words, you guys can all unmute because I want you to just chime in. If I say the words Black women, what's the first thing that comes to mind, Tiffany?
Black women. Literally, the first word that popped into my head was grace. I think that whether we realize it or not, we have learned to be gracious through a lot of things that we go through. And sometimes grace is good, and sometimes grace lasts too long. But wherever we are, I know that we embody grace.
Andrea?
Resilience. I think, we come from some very, very, very strong women. We've held up the backbone of a country. To this day, we are predominantly the sole breadwinners in households in our community. We embrace our community, raise the community, raise our own family. There's so much that's on our backs that we don't truly get credit for, especially I feel like from our men. But we are resilient. I just wish, to use Tiffany's words, that we lended more grace to one another.
Kimberly, what do you think of when I say Black women? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
I just think of beauty. I think of the word beauty. And I think what we see, we don't realize how beautiful we are. The things that we are shunned, are disrespected about certain things are the things that our counterparts they want, and so embracing our beauty. We are beautiful. We are beautiful. We have beautiful skin, beautiful personalities, and so just allowing that beauty to shine from the inside out. So that was the word that I came up with, beauty.
I think of elegance because when I think of Black, I think of elegance. I'm thinking of Lena Horne. I'm thinking of Felicia Rashad. I'm thinking of Black women who exude elegance throughout time that we've seen, who have been examples of elegance and grace throughout history. And so what is the first thing that you all think of when I say 2021? Kimberly, when I say 2021, what comes to mind for you?
When I think of 2021, I think of, I don't know, I say greatness. I think 2021 will be a year of greatness for a lot of us. I think, in our families, in our business, I think it will be, a year of expansion. Despite this pandemic, we have seen God do some amazing things. All hasn't been bad that has come from the pandemic. And so I just see greatness for 2021.
Okay, Andrea?
New beginnings. I mean, I don't know when you guys started these projects, but I can almost bet I feel like 2020, with all the things that went on, there was a lot of birthing that happened. Births of ideas, people that were putting things on a back burner that they've always wanted to accomplish. They finally had a chance to slow down and focus on what their passions were, their ideas. So I feel we were in incubation. We had our ideas going, but now most of us at the end of the year, we're ready to push those babies forward, put them out there, get them out there. And I think being alone and this pandemic has given a lot of us courage, even coming on this panel. And, maybe we weren't initially public speakers, but coming here, now you're more comfortable speaking on Instagram Live or Facebook Live. And so many things have, I think, been birthed out of 2020, that 2021 is going to be an amazing rebirth for a lot of people.
That's awesome. Tiffany, what do you think?
I would say release. I feel like in this year, it's been, even though it may have felt negative at first, but when you're, what is it called? Archery, when they're pulling that bow and arrow back,
right.
Sometimes we felt like we've been held back and, oh my God, I want to go. I got this, I got that. But I feel like this year was about pulling back and like Andrea was saying, you know, those ideas are coming forth and those visions and all that type of thing. And then 2021 is just going to be the release and we're just going to go forward with it.
Amen. And I think about explosion. I just think it's going to be an explosion of just many different ideas and opportunities and open doors for many different people. And just, it's just going to be so many great businesses coming forth and just people doing great things in 2021. And I always want to ask, and since we have a panel full of amazing women on tonight, I always want to ask the panel, you know, before we end, what makes you a bougie girl on tonight? You know, bougie stands for bold, one of a kind, unbothered, God's girl, intentional, and elegant. So on tonight, I'm going to go to my right, which is Tiffany. What makes you a bougie girl on tonight? Because, you know, I think we all bougie, you know what I'm saying? Because I already said I am, but what makes you bougie on tonight?
Tonight, I actually would take the first letter in bougie, and that's bold. Because that is not something that I ever was before. Like Andrea was saying, she had no idea this public speaking thing was not for me. I just completely shied away from it. And so tonight I'm bold and I'm proud to be bold and it feels amazing.
Awesome. Andrea? You're muted.
I'm going to say bold as well, because today, you know, I often talk about when we have these creations like the books and the different things that we've been holding on to. It's almost like I've never had a child, but it's almost like you're nurturing your baby, right? And then when you finally have to release your child to the world, you definitely, as a woman, never want anyone to call your baby ugly. You want your baby to be embraced and be successful because you nurture it so much. So I think for me, bold is the word today, because I felt bold when I pushed out the podcast today. I felt bold when I said, you know, this is what the branding is going to look like. I felt bold when I said, you're a little thick, but it's all right. You still cute, right? So I felt bold in all of those things. I had to use the word tonight, Tiffany.
Amen. Kimberly, what makes you bougie on tonight?
I would say I would go with God's girl. I would say God's girl, because literally, you know, just birthing out all of these things. And I think everything that has happened, I know that everything that has happened, you know, along this journey called life, it was already planned out. Yes, you know, I've made some mistakes and had some bumps and bruises, but, you know, for what God is allowing me to birth and the people that he's allowed me to touch, it's all God. It is all God. And so I understand the importance of obedience and following his instructions and doing it even when you're afraid and not knowing how all of these things are coming together and walking by faith. So I'm God's girl. He got me right in his hand and he is literally carrying me through this journey called life. It is beautiful. It's lonely at times, but all is well. All is well. So I'm God's girl.
That's so awesome. And so the word that comes to mind for me is unbothered. You know what? I'm unbothered by what other people think about me, because I used to be so concerned and so overwhelmed about what other people thought about me. Like, oh, do they like what I cook? Do they like what I'm wearing? Do they like how I look today? You know, I dealt with low self-esteem and low self-worth for so many years. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be unbothered. I'm not going to worry about what they say or what they think, because I know who I am. I'm God's girl. I know that I am fearfully and wonderfully made in his image. I am one of a kind. You know, I am tailor-made. And I had to understand that being 5'11", being statuesque, I had to realize that, you know what, I'm all of that. So I don't care what you think about me. I don't care what they think about me. I'm going to be unbothered because I know who I am. And I had to grow into that when I got when I got about 40 years old. I was like, I really have to grow into who I am and just really understand who I am and the worth that I have, because you know what? I'm better than what you think I am. So I'm bougie, I'm unbothered. And so I want to thank you all so much for being with me on tonight. And I want to share your social media information with everyone. I know, Tiffany, you have a social media following. Girl, you've got this. Can you tell everybody a little bit about your platform and what it's about, and so they can follow you on Instagram?
Yeah, so it's in the process of changing, but as of right now, it's just encouragement for women to keep pushing them to keep going, to believe in not just themselves, but the God in them, and to know that it's okay to be 100% them because that's who they were created to be. So if you're looking for encouragement and sisterhood, that is the place to be.
Thank you so much. And so we're going to go to Kimberly Sproul. You can follow her at Kimberly Sproul on Facebook. And Kimberly, what is the base of your platform, or what you want people to gain by following you and your platform? You're on mute, ma'am. Unmute yourself.
Unmuted. So what I want people to gain from my platform on Facebook is the importance of discovering your purpose. We even now during the pandemic, the perfect time to just kind of steal away. So the importance of discovering your purpose, knowing who you are, fulfilling that purpose every single day, and then reaching back for others and showing them how you can overcome. So that's what my platform is about.
That is so awesome. Thank you. And Andrea, your podcast, you just started today. Yay. So excited for you. Podcast, Your Girlfriend Next Door. Tell us a little about that.
Listen, I want to embrace happiness again. I think happiness is a lost art. We embrace so many negative images of women, of different things. I want us to get to a place as women where we can have fun again and embrace our differences. The platform of friendship coaching and Your Girlfriend Next Door started off, it is a lifestyle brand, but it's here to help women nurture positive relationships with each other, having a place to go where we can resolve conflict, get over things that bother us, that's internally, that has something to do with us and not the other person. And let's heal. It's all about healing and being happy.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And my platform is Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour. I'm Bougie. You know, this platform was built to inspire, to uplift, and to encourage. I love opportunities like this to have other women on the platform, on HerStory on Friday, to share their testimony, to share their story, to encourage other women through their story, to help them to overcome and to be the best them that they can be. So as a counselor, as a mother, as a encourager, as a teacher, that is the platform that God has given me. And I'm a Bougie girl. Y'all, you my Bougie squad. Thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you all for following this platform. Follow these ladies on social media. Go back and watch the replay. Share this out. Thank you all for joining and sharing. I'm super grateful. You all have a blessed weekend and a blessed night. Be encouraged, and thank you so much. And join me again on Monday for Motivational Monday. I'm going to talk about forgiveness. So you all have a great weekend. Follow this page. Follow us on YouTube as well. And I'm super grateful that you all have joined us tonight. Have a great night. Bye, everyone.